Sometimes it looks a little bit as if I got stuck or ended up going in the wrong way or something once Circadia and I were an item, in the sense that, before then, let's see, even when we moved in at Potrero, it was still the fact that, you know, I was able to have other people I was seeing in a relationship to. Being in San Francisco and going to events there was totally fine, and going dancing was totally fine, and all of that was, I was part of this community living there, and that was totally fine. Then I followed her preferences, which was to live not with other people, to move out of San Francisco and into the countryside, and basically just be a couple. And then, of course, moving to Orcas. So it feels a little bit as if I was simply following her lead because she knew her values of, countryside, not city, and Northwest, not California. Whereas I didn't really know my values as well. Um, it seems that way, but that would be missing out on a really big item, and that big item was Kernel. While I was working on Kernel, it was very obvious to me that Kernel was the priority. And even so much so that it was clear to both myself and to Circadia that that was my priority even over our relationship, which is why at the point when she knew she had to go back to Orcus, she felt pretty clearly that we were going in different directions back then, right? So if the Kernel thing had gone better, if that had continued going, that would have continued to be my priority, and this would all have looked very different because it would have been very clear that I was following my values and where I had to go, even before doing this whole like figuring myself out thing, and she was following hers, and I wasn't just following her around. That would have been clear. The only reason I just kind of let it go and went with following hers is because after Kernel, I wasn't sure what else I was supposed to do. I was kind of at a loss and had to figure things out, and that just happened to coincide with the changes he was seeking. So that's why it looks that way. Um, Having said that, I've decided that it would actually be sensible if I call the time that I'm spending now and the time that I've spent in the last 2 years, if I recognize it for what it is, just like a monk who goes into the mountains and meditates, finds themselves and stuff, or someone who has to go out into the wild or do a walkabout or whatever it is. That's what this is. This last 2 years, this has been my time in the monastery, or my time in the hermit cave, my time, my meditation retreat, or my walkabout, or other names that exist for it. That is exactly what this is. But I know that this is coming to an end. I know that I'm right at the edge of that now, because with that milestone, yeah, um, the worldly priorities are flooding back.